Hey, welcome. If you're listening to this, chances are you're just tired. Tired of that flash of anger, of losing control, of saying things you immediately regret. And you're tired of hurting the people you love. Well, today, we're going to lay out a real actionable plan to get your power back. Does this sound familiar? That feeling of watching the words fly out of your mouth and you just know you'll be apologizing for them later. But the damage is already done, isn't it? Trust gets a little crack in it. You see yourself turn into someone you don't even recognize, someone you're maybe even a little afraid of. But I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. So, first things first, let's get on the same page about what anger really is. It's not just some bad emotion. Think of it like fire. Fire can cook your food and keep you warm, or it can burn your house down. It's all about how you handle it. Anger is a signal, a big flashing red light telling you that something feels wrong, that you feel threatened or disrespected. The problem is, it usually comes out as yelling instead of just saying that. Our goal here isn't to get rid of anger. It's to understand it and to control it. Okay, so where do we start? We start with the in-the-moment stuff, the emotional first aid kit. These are the things you can do the second you feel that heat rising. Think of it as your own personal emergency brake for when your emotions are about to spin out of control. It really comes down to 3 critical steps in that moment. 1, you pause. Just stop. 2, you breathe. Really breathe. And 3, if you can, you just walk away from the situation. We're going to touch on all 3, but let's start with the one that changes everything. The pause.
Believe it or not, it can all come down to just 3 seconds. That's it. Anger hits you like a tidal wave. It's incredibly fast, but you know what? It also passes fast. Just 3 seconds of silence. That's all the space you need to change the entire outcome. It's in that tiny little gap between the trigger and your reaction. That's where you win the war.
And that's really the core of it all, isn't it? We're kind of taught that a quick, sharp reaction is a sign of strength, but it's just not true. Real power, true power, is in that deliberate choice to not react. That's the moment you take back the controls from your own impulses and protect everything that matters, your relationships, your dignity, and your own peace of mind. So once you've hit that emergency brake, what's next? Well, now it's time to put on your detective hat. We have to look underneath the anger to figure out what's really going on. And here's the secret. Anger is almost never the real emotion. It's a mask. It's the loud, aggressive bodyguard for a much quieter, more vulnerable feeling underneath. You might not actually be angry. You might be hurt, or scared, or embarrassed, or feeling totally disrespected. Anger feels powerful, right? So your brain throws it up as a shield. So how do you get that mask off? You just ask yourself a few honest questions. What was it exactly that set me off? Was it the words, the tone of voice? Then, what am I feeling underneath all this heat? Is it sadness, rejection? And finally, can I just name that feeling, even if it's just to myself? Now, this isn't just some motivational fluff. This is straight up neuroscience. The moment you put a name to your emotion, like I feel disrespected, you actually fire up the logical thinking part of your brain. And in doing that, you calm down the emotional, reactive part that just wants to scream. You are literally rewiring your brain's response in real time. How cool is that? This sentence right here, this is like medicine. Just try it. The next time you feel that fire, instead of letting your brain default to I'm so angry, consciously shift it. I feel disappointed. I feel ignored. You will physically feel the temperature drop as you move from fighting to understanding. Because at the end of the day, the more words you have for your emotions, the more options you have. If the only tool in your emotional toolbox is the hammer of anger, well, every problem is going to look like a nail. When you expand your emotional language, you expand your emotional control. Simple as that. Okay, so those emergency tactics are great for putting out fires, but we don't want to be firefighters for the rest of our lives, right? We want to fireproof the building. This is all about the long-term training, the work you do when you're calm to prepare for the storm you know is coming. This quote says everything. You just can't build emotional muscle in the middle of a crisis. You have to train for it ahead of time. See, most people only try to control their anger when it's already a raging inferno. But your emotions, they don't listen to wishful thinking. They listen to habits. So here's a simple but incredibly powerful daily training plan. 5 minutes of meditation. That's it. It builds a foundation of stillness in your mind. Journaling. This lets you get the anger out safely on a page, turning that chaotic rage into something clear. And daily self-talk. Literally saying to yourself, today I choose calm, trains your subconscious to make that your new default. Now, let's go one level deeper. A lot of the time, our anger isn't even about someone else. Often the person we're most furious with is the one in the mirror. Why did I let that happen? Why wasn't I stronger? That kind of self-anger is poison, and the only antidote for it is self-forgiveness.
But why? Why forgive someone who hurt you when they might not even deserve it? Or why forgive yourself when you feel like you failed so badly? It's a really important question, and the answer is the key to getting free. And here it is. This is the answer. Forgiveness is not for them. It is 100% for you. You don't do it because they earned it. You do it because you are tired of carrying that weight. Tired of letting something from your past control your emotions in the present. Forgiveness is you cutting the chains. It's an act of pure self-liberation. I really want you to let this sink in. Your anger, no matter how big or loud it feels in the moment, it does not define who you are. It's an experience, it's a signal, it's a storm passing through, but it is not you. You might not be able to control what life throws at you, what people say, or what triggers you, but you always have a choice in how you react. That little space we talked about, that 3-second pause, that's where your freedom lives. Your reaction is always your choice. So, at the end of all this, you're not broken. You're not weak. You are a person who feels things deeply, and now you have the tools to channel those feelings into something better. You are not your anger. You are your power. Which leaves us with one last question. And this one is for you. Now that you have this power, the power to pause, to understand, to train, to forgive, what are you going to build with it? Stronger relationships? A calmer, more peaceful mind? A better future? The choice, as always, is yours.